Love is an action, in the words of Bell Hooks, right? Words is action. It is a verb. It is not a noun. I can tell you I love you all day long, but if I don't show you through practice, then that word becomes it starts to diminish. So if I come into my classroom, I love you, I love you, I love you, but I don't hold high expectations because I don't believe you can do it. Non-verbally tell you to leave your culture and your family at the door because it's a school and we don't have time. If I tell you I love you, but I don't ask you for your opinion on my instructional practices, or if I don't ask you how well you're learning in my class or what I can do differently to help you along individually, if I don't share your data with you in a meaningful way, I cannot continue to tell you I love you and you continue to believe it. So it brings me joy to work with students that are Black, brown, historically excluded from excellence. And it also really makes me feel lucky to have been chosen to be that person that gets to stand in front of them and be that familiar face. I'm just a mama, auntie, sister, I just have a little bit more education in order to systematically teach you these math concepts, but my math concepts are supposed to feed your dreams. And I feel like Black and brown students aren't allowed to dream like we allow some other students. Mm-hmm. So I find joy in that. It makes me happy. Yep.
So what is the connection between your passion for serving students of color and the fact that you yourself are, Black as well? What's the connection there?
I talk a lot about dreaming. Mm-hmm. My students say all the time, like, Ms. Watson, is this math class or are we in therapy? And I'm like, both. But I talk about dreaming a lot. And the reason why I talk about dreaming is because I feel like for Black youth, when they see leaders and teachers that look like them, and we're not all athletes, we're not all rappers, we're not all singers or fashion designers, and nothing's wrong with being any of those things, right? But I like that I am just a regular old person that looks like them and gets to stand in front of them and give them permission to dream. Being able to transfer knowledge to them so that they may transfer that on into their own communities, into other communities, to other people. It just really just gives them the permission to dream. And I feel that every day.
So is there a portion where part of your lived experiences as being like an African-American woman are also behind, the passion that you have for making sure that students' dreams are, at the forefront in your classroom?
Growing up, I grew up in a predominantly Black setting until about 6th grade. My mom married and moved me to the suburbs.
Okay.
And when I walked into my 6th grade building, there were 3 students of color. And 2 of us were mixed. And the other one was, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get rid of saying the word mixed.
Biracial,
multiracial, biracial, yes, all of that good stuff. 2 of us were multiracial, biracial, and ended up being my best friend was from Barbados. So those were the 3 of us, right, in the whole entire building. It was a culture shock for me, and I stopped seeing Black teachers.
Okay.
So not only was I removed from people that looked like me at my age, I was removed from seeing Black men and women in teaching and leadership positions, and even grocery store attendants, because we were in the suburbs now, and I just did not see Black folks anymore, and it was a culture shock for me. So I remember really starting to question who I was racially at that time, because I started entering spaces where I was too white for the Black kids that were in my area and too Black for the white kids that were in my area. It was very weird. And then finally, 7th and 8th grade, I had a math teacher, Miss Parker, and she was a Black woman.
Okay.
So she changed that for me. And she said, she made it so, Black folks belong in the suburbs too. I'm here. My son goes to this school, et cetera, et cetera. And then I did not see another Black teacher until my sophomore and junior year of high school.
Okay.
It was a big deal for me.
Right.
So that's another reason why, it's my life's work to stay in the neighborhoods in which I love and I want to continue to learn.
And it's interesting that you said, because I have a similar experience. I actually grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I had an experience of, I was in my neighborhood school for a period of time. And then, there were a lot of integration things happening in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so I was bused back and forth between either my neighborhood school or a school in the suburbs. And I think, adults don't tend to think that, that matters to children, but it does. So when you said, hey, I'm in the 6th grade and I noticed, like, I don't have any Black teachers here. And it does matter. Those are things that are important and they do matter.
I think it's important, especially for white children, to see Black teachers and Black leaders, because we've got to teach them that we're not all the stereotype, right? So what we're trying to undo and unlearn right now as adults with our biases and trying to escape the stereotype threat is all that, every Black boy wants to be an athlete. Nope. Or a rapper. Nope, they don't. My Black boy does not even like rap. He doesn't like sports. In his fun time, he 3D prints. He designs things on Tinkercad and prints 3D figures at home. That's what he does in his spare time. It is so important for students of all colors, all backgrounds, all nationalities, to see Black teachers and leaders so that they understand that we come in all spaces. And we come in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Our vocabulary is different. Our mannerisms are different. They all vary. We vary just as much as you do, right? So it's sometimes I even think it might be even more important for white students to see leaders and teachers that don't look like them, to challenge some of those stereotypes. I have a friend that I've made virtually, and I cannot wait to meet him in person. His name is Nolan Fossum. He is in California. He teaches all white kids. He's a white man. Teaches all white kids, but has gone gradeless. He teaches some of the teaching and instructional ideas that he gets are from people like Goldie Muhammad and Chris Emden. He gets his instructional strategies from Black and brown people, and I love it. And he doesn't have to do that because he teaches predominantly white kids in Orange County, I believe. So he kind of is the poster boy for me for why it's important for white kids. I actually have given him those kudos before, and he's like, well, they're going to grow up to be leaders at one point that may lead folks that look like them, and then folks that don't look like them, and they need to be able to do that in a fair way. And that was really deep for me.
So what about your other colleagues in the building? So as a teacher coach, how are you supporting your other colleagues in the building with inspiring, our children of color to dream? And what are some of the challenges that you're running into with that?
I would say I do feel very lucky to be where I am. I feel like Cincinnati Public Schools, most of the teachers want to do differently. They want to learn. They want to do something differently, whether it be instructionally or whether it be along the equity line, whatever it might be. They want to do things different in order to affect student outcomes. I would say that. The level of commitment as it pertains to being able to do those different things varies greatly.
Do you think that there are some learning gaps with teachers?
It's not, this is not my opinion. This is fact that even in a district that is highly Black and brown, most of our workforce is white. Certificated workforce is white, right? Most of those white folks were socialized in white spaces. Mm-hmm. So when you're socialized in white spaces, we know, right, that you are going to have biases that you're not aware of. And you might be the most well-meaning person, walk into a classroom, think you love your babies, right? But to me, love is an action, in the words of bell hooks, right? Words is action. It is a verb. It is not a noun. I can tell you I love you all day long, but if I don't show you through practice, then that word becomes it starts to diminish over time, right? So if I come into my classroom, I love you, but I don't hold high expectations because I don't believe you can do it. I don't ask about your family because I tell you to leave I non-verbally tell you to leave your culture and your family at the door because it's a school and we don't have time. If I tell you I love you, but I don't ask you for your opinion on my instructional practices, or if I don't ask you how well you're learning in my class or what I can do differently to help you along individually, if I don't share your data with you in a meaningful way, I cannot continue to tell you I love you and you continue to believe it. Aside from time, aside from commitment, aside from what you think, we have to actively attack and disrupt our own biases. That's the work. You can't move on to the other things and do them well and do them authentically without knowing who you are and how you're showing up in a space.
If you had to describe the power of a Black teacher in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Actually, can I give you a thought instead of a word? Okay. I'd say learning the and plus or either or as opposed to but. Black women especially, okay? And I say that Black women, those who identify as Black women with an X where the E is, right? Black women. We are really good at the and plus. We are strength and we're vulnerability. We're joy and we're pain. Like, where else do you see that? And what greater knowledge can you give to, or model can you give to a student than to say you can be both and you can be other things that you see. You can, if you dream it, you can be it, right? Even though they are traditionally put up against each other as opposites, you can be and. Yes. You can be and plus. Imagine walking into a space like math class, for instance, because that's what I teach. Math, where students oftentimes just write themselves off to not be a math person. Walking in and seeing that Black folks do math too, that's liberation. That's liberation, where you can take and put yourself in that position because someone else before you did. Standing on the shoulder of giants.
Seeing people of color in leadership positions, seeing people of color in positions of expertise, like not just our representation as a classroom teacher to students, but our representation to each other and to other people and to the world as experts in our field and in our craft. That is so important.
Having something in common with people is human nature that connects us. And no matter what you have to find commonalities in, and I'm talking to my white teachers now that teach Black and brown students, find commonalities, whether it be music, food, art, dig deep. Dig deep.
All right, so I still need you to end with those 3 words.
I would say freedom, liberation, and possibility. I am Crystal M. Watson, mathematics educator from Cincinnati, Ohio. My Twitter is Crystal M. Watson, and you can find me on my website at crystalmwatson.com. I continue to be inspired by students' stories. So if you have any that you'd like to share, please reach out. I look forward to hearing from you.